If you've been scrolling through endless listings of animal facility cages, comparing pictures of stainless steel versus acrylic, wondering whether the extra cost really buys you something you'll notice day to day, this review is here to clear that up. I've spent a few weeks looking at the kind of setups that small animal clinics and hobbyist breeders actually use, reading through the product pages, digging into the material specs that matter for sanitation, and even watching a couple of unbox and build videos to see how the pieces come together in real life. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What you'll hear in the next few minutes is a no-fluff walkthrough of the Cove product's stainless steel modular cage bank kit, the moments it shines, and the scenarios where it might feel like overkill. First off, let's talk about the environment you'll be putting this kit into. Most people buying a modular cage bank are either running a small veterinary practice, a research lab, or a serious hobby operation that needs to house several animals in separate, secure enclosures that can be rearranged as the collection grows. The big question is whether you need something that can be disassembled for shipping and reassembled on a tight schedule, or if a permanent, weld-in-place rack will do. The Cove system leans heavily on the knockdown concept. Each panel, each door, each floor grate arrives flat, packed tight, and you bolt them together with the supplied hardware. For a clinic that orders a 3-unit kit, gets it delivered in a single pallet, and then has to set it up in a back room while the day's appointments are running, that design saves both freight dollars and precious installation time. One of the most frequently mentioned pain points in the community is cleaning. Stainless steel is a favorite for that reason, but not all grades are equal. Cove advertises a 201 and 304 stainless steel blend for the panels, which means the surfaces resist the kind of pitting you see when you're using harsh disinfectants like quaternary ammonium compounds or bleach. In practice, that translates to a floor that you can mop with a diluted bleach solution, let sit for a few minutes, and then rinse without worrying about rust spots forming after a month of use. The removable doors and divider panels make it easy to pull the entire unit apart for a deep soak, something you can't do with a welded acrylic cage without risking cracks. For a facility that runs a daily sanitation schedule, that convenience is a real time saver. The auto-closing safety latch system is another design element that shows up in the field notes of veterinary techs. The latch pulls shut automatically when the door swings past a half-open point, which reduces the chance of an animal escaping during a quick checkup. I watched a short clip where a rabbit was being examined. The tech opened the door, and as soon as the handle was released, the latch snapped shut, keeping the rabbit safely contained without the tech having to manually lock it again. In a high-traffic setting, that tiny mechanical aid adds up: fewer accidental escapes, less stress for the animal, and a little less mental load on the staff. Now, let's be clear about the floor system. The heavy-duty floor grates are spaced at 1/2 inch ch by 4-inch intervals, which is wide enough for good airflow, but narrow enough to prevent most small rodents from slipping through. For a reptile keeper, those grates also allow substrate to be cleared out easily with a brush, while still providing a solid footing for a bearded dragon or a chameleon. The downside: if you're housing very tiny critters like dwarf hamsters or certain mouse strains, the spacing could be a little generous, and you might need an additional mesh insert to avoid escapes. That's not a deal breaker, but it's something you have to plan for ahead of time. Who should buy this kit? If you run a facility where you need to swap out enclosure configurations regularly, say you have a breeding program that expands from 3 to 4 cages as litters arrive, this modularity is a genuine advantage. The stainless steel construction also makes sense if you're mandated to meet a certain level of sanitation, such as in a research lab that follows institutional animal care and use committee (IACUC) guidelines. The auto-closing latch is a nice safety net for anyone who has to juggle multiple animals at once and can't afford to manually lock every door after each check. And because the kit ships knocked down, the freight savings are noticeable if you're ordering multiple units or buying for a larger facility. Who should skip it? If you're a casual hobbyist with a single terrarium or a small rabbit hutch that never moves, the upfront cost of a stainless steel modular system might feel steep compared to a simple plastic bin or a welded metal cage. The same goes for people who don't need the quick reconfiguration feature. A permanent, welded cage will be just as sturdy, and you won't have to spend time tightening bolts after each move. Also, if you're working with the tiniest of species that can slip through the 1/2 inch